Hello, fellow otaku, and welcome to Otaku Movie Anatomy. Today, we are going to see some magic, some fight scenes, and definitely Sean Bean in Kingsglaive, Final Fantasy 15. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Otaku Movie Anatomy.
I love when we open with crazy music.
Epic. Yeah. Epic. A lot.
The music was pretty
It's
here. Alright guys, thank you for joining us for Otaku Movie Anatomy. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment on iTunes. You can hit a thumbs up on YouTube, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at The Popcorn Talk. Today I am your host, Chubbybunny Michelle. There's so much dancing happening. I am really into this.
I'm gonna rave. Here we go.
I am your host, Chubbybunny Michelle.
My edge
You
lord
can find me,
dance.
I'm gonna just ignore you. You can find me everywhere on the internet at I am Chubbybunny. Today I am joined by regular host Maxwell Song.
Hello.
AKA, what is your
You can
Instagram
find
now?
me at Max Salts
Keeps
because I'm
changing
the
it.
saltiest person ever. Yes, I do keep changing it, but this is easier to remember, so you know.
Yeah,
Let's go with it.
I'm Jonathan Messer. You can find me at KaibaCat, KAIBACAT, and all those social things. But yes, please go ahead.
And today we have a special guest. Sorry, this music is really loud.
This is real intense.
It's so intense.
It's industrial.
Dropping the
And
speed.
now,
Wait,
get
epic,
ready
epic.
for
Epic.
Jon Brence.
Hi, I'm Jon Brence, also known as Kawaii Guy LA. I'm all over the interwebs. I'm all
Everywhere
over
Yeah, you are.
on the internet. So we brought in John today because he is a lover of Final Fantasy, as we all are. Question mark?
Yes,
Are
we are.
all?
We're all
are.
lovers.
We all
I
are.
believe we all have a very intimate relationship with the Final Fantasies.
Yeah.
Yes.
To an extent, for some
Yeah.
people.
We've all- yeah.
More so than others.
Well, I mean,
It's not a contest.
Well, that's the thing.
I
It
don't
entered
know,
into
it
our
is to
lives
me.
at various stages, and we found our loves either in our youth or during our teenage years, or perhaps we were young adults. For me, it was my teenage years. It was really when I
It
fell
was
into it.
fantasy.
Yeah. It was during, Final Fantasy II, Super Nintendo, which is
Wow, yeah,
a beautiful,
much better.
beautiful thing.
Is it Cecil or Cecil? How do you say it?
I say Cecil.
You
I'm
can
a
play that
Cecil
on
guy.
your phone
Me
now. I
too.
love that.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's
Most-
many
most of them,
iterations that,
yeah.
that you can find on your mobile devices now, and they change the sprites, which I'm a purist. I like my original sprites, so I'll stick to
damn.
that. But I think it was, I found love during Final Fantasy VIII. In the love
That was your.
scenes.
You know what? I love. No,
I was
listen,
like,
it was-
what?
Wait, you
Not-
like
not-
Final
not-
Fantasy
Yeah,
VIII?
that's what I was gonna
here
say.
we go.
Here we go. Here we go. This
Yes.
is where the wall.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm on your side of the wall, my
Oh,
friend.
oh,
I
come
am
on
a fan
over.
of Final Fantasy VIII, and not a lot of people like it, and they give me shit all the time
I'm on
because
the
I
other
say
side
I
of the
like
fence.
that.
I love it, and what we'll be talking about today, I feel relates very much to the gardens of Balam and all that type of stuff that I saw in Final Fantasy VIII. So it's just
Yeah, a
like-
lot of ties in, and I think in terms of the look and sort of the world, there's a lot
Yeah.
of things that ties together. My favorite is 9. I'm a 9 man.
Ooh,
myself.
nine's good
Okay.
too.
I love 9.
Nine.
I'm Dane.
Which was simultaneously developed, I want to say, at the same time as 8, because they wanted something that would appeal to the earlier fans.
Which would probably make sense why the styles
Yeah.
are so
Totally
completely
different.
Very different.
But then, John, besides loving Final Fantasy, as we
yes,
all do,
please.
tell us about some of your other projects you're working on right now.
Absolutely. So right now, I work with a lot of different folks on the internet. People might remember me from Saturday Morning Breakfast Serial Theater, which was a group that I was
Yeah.
with, or 5-second films, which are all over YouTube as well. Right now, I'm working on a Twitch thing. So I'm working
Twitch
with
thing?
a
Twitch thing.
I call it a
Twitch
thing
thing,
because
huh?
I've yet to figure out what I want
Well,
to
'cause
play.
you-
I call
started
a
streaming.
Twitch thing. I took the wrong medication.
It's just like, ooh, it took a little bit too much of that. Now I got
Yes.
the Twitch thing happening in my neck. No, I'm just trying to figure out what games to play.
Okay.
But I'm thinking maybe I will go back and replay all the Final Fantasy games I
That's
played
really
in
good.
order. Because we did do a
Ooh, wow.
stream. We kicked off Final Fantasy II a while back. And I think I might hop back into that.
We're
I think
inspiring
let's do
you.
it.
Yeah,
So-
you should name that Twitch stream Emotional Roller Coaster. Parts 1 through 15 of the Final Fantasy.
Well,
Yeah.
All right,
I
guys.
think you can skip 12.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we could argue to the end of time which ones we should skip.
I didn't finish 12.
But play 1 through like 5, or 1 through.
Well, 12 is
sorry,
the-
Japanese 6 at least.
That's 11, my bad.
All right, let's stop counting.
All
so
right.
guys, today we're
Numbers
talking
are
about
hard.
a Final Fantasy, but not necessarily one that we've even played yet. It's the Final Fantasy 15 movie that happens in conjunction at the same time as the events in the game, but that
Technically,
you
it's
just
prequel.
just don't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of it's a
Well,
prequel,
yeah,
and
part
part
of
of it's
it is, yeah.
happening while Noctis is in his car,
Yeah.
roaming around. If you guys watched our show
Road trip.
earlier, we did review Brotherhood at was called Brotherhood Final Fantasy 15, episodes 1 through 3. We got up to, I don't know what's his face's backstory, Prompto, and then the
Ignis?
Ignis's.
No.
Not-
Prompto is the bomb one. Ignis is the one with the glasses.
Gladiolus.
Yes, the
Gladiolus.
dude with the shade, the bigger dude with
Is this
the beard,
bros?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's bros and
Bros.
camping and cars.
Yeah.
Yes, bros.
Bros.
But the
Camping.
stories
Yeah.
are about how they became bros, basically.
Yeah,
And,
but that's very cute, and that's definitely a prequel, Brotherhood. So this one is kind of prequel, kind of not.
Yeah.
So real quick, this movie is basically based on the original opening sequence they had planned for Final Fantasy 15. This game has been in development for 6 years, right? About 6-ish.
When did 13 come out? 13 came out like
That was
5.
Why you gonna ask questions I didn't
I wanna say
do
something like
notes
that.
on before prior to?
It
You can Google it. Damn it!
2000.
You do your own work. If you guys are watching right now, you can Google it
Oh, yeah,
for
hop
us.
in the chat, please.
If you want to hop in and just go through an experience which is just a single lane, then feel free to hop
Yeah.
into
Yes.
13.
That's
but
exactly
this
what it
was the original for Versus 13, correct? Is that
Yes.
what the
Yes,
plan
you're
was?
right. You're right.
It used to be a part of Crystallis Noble Fabula or something like that.
No,
It was a mixture of 3 games. It was, or go ahead if you can say
know.
it properly.
Crystallis is the series of worlds that 15, 14, 13 are all supposed to take place in.
No.
And the online one, no, it's not like one storyline. It's just like this world
no.
has crystals and it's modern.
Yeah, those 3 have I guess the basis was they do have crystals as
Yeah.
a pillar. 14 is different because it's its own online game that's actually tied in with 11.
Oh right.
Yeah, and it has
So
that
I
is
try to
its
forget the
old-
online games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that has its own world
Uh-huh.
and lore behind it, but the Crystal Nobilis Fabula is supposed to be what was 13. 13 versus and also 0, which is Agito.
I play these
which-
games and have no idea where we're at right
I think
now.
he's actually just naming clubs in New
Yes,
York.
that's exactly what it
Crystallis
is, yeah.
Fabula was the hottest
finest,
place.
Oh, yeah,
the
I've-
finest nightclubs.
So anyway, the original Final Fantasy 15, the plan for it was to be. It turned into a lot of different games.
Yeah.
It had a couple of trailers shown at E3 that's like, yeah, guys, it's definitely coming out. It's totally like in 2013. They're like, it's definitely coming out. Here's a trailer of basically a kingdom being invaded, which is what we see in this movie.
Yeah.
That scene was actually removed from the original game, the game that's coming out this fall, and it's only happening in this movie now. So
Yeah,
stuff
very
like that. And
It kind of does. I think they changed the design completely because when you see the 13 versus trailer from back in the day, the costume is different. His whole fucking life.
He's still
is
an
different.
edgelord.
He's still
He has the
he's
same
still
hair.
very emo. He looks like he should be in a band from the early 2000s. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think of it? It still retains the style there.
Right. Well, they kept it going through adjustments even through all the development process simultaneous with the game. If you look at the art of Regis, who's the king that we meet in this movie.
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean.
It's just Sean Bean with white hair.
Another movie where
Spoiler,
he
he
dies.
dies.
Right.
What? No way.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a guarantee in any movie that he's in.
Yeah.
But you'll see that the art styles over time, both with the game and with the movie, changed constantly. So they were constantly playing around with this, and well, I mean, we'll talk more about that. but
Sure.
it's constantly changing.
So in this movie is part of a multiple millions of things basically that Final Fantasy is releasing in conjunction with the game. We've got a ton of the app games to play. There's Brotherhood, the anime version. So this is just one of many media mix. They call it media mix in Japan for helping to boost sales of this game, which is maybe never coming out because he's being pushed out.
It's gonna come out in November.
Look,
It's come out
I
in
keep
November.
Before Christmas.
I
for
keep
show.
doing the Carbuncle surprise, and it told me that I do have DLC that I can attach to it, so the game has to
It's
come out.
gonna come
Okay.
out.
I need that. Wait, so you did it from the site then?
Yeah.
Because I got it from GameStop and
Oh
I
my God,
regret
you
it
guys.
now. I had to pay $25 for that. That was the
Carbuncle?
the pre-order amount that I had to put down. I thought it was $5.
Jesus.
It was
If you guys don't know what we're
I'm
talking
so
about,
sad.
please check out the Square Enix official site about the game.
Yes.
They have links to all these little mini games that you can download. But this movie takes place in a world called Eos.
Eos.
Isn't that a lip-
Eos.
That's a lip balm.
EOS.
It's definitely a lip balm.
That's a
name.
lip balm.
It is
Yeah.
a lip balm.
Uh,
It's very good.
That's a little
It's
egg.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Egg.
The egg lip
They
balm.
all live in an egg. They're all made
This
of
is a
lip
metaphor
balm.
for lip balm. It's
Yeah.
selling lip balm.
They're trying
Long
to
story
protect
short,
your lips.
this movie takes place in Eos, which is very, very modern. It looks almost like modern-day Tokyo with a giant castle in the middle of it.
As one does.
As one does. We have the kingdoms of So Lucius, good lord, there's so much
Lucius.
stuff. There's Lucius and Niflheim. Niflheim's evil.
Niflheim is evil.
Lucius is quote unquote good. We'll see about that. But that's where Sean Bean comes from and is the king of. There is a magical crystal protecting Lucius, but Niflheim's like, we want that crystal. We'll take over every kingdom around you to get it. They've invaded multiple countries. This has been a constant, centuries-long war that's been happening. And now it definitely is a trick, but they offer peace in the form of, hey, if you marry your prince to our princess that we totally stole from another kingdom, we can have some sort of peace treaty and we won't keep killing your people anymore.
They lied.
And they definitely lie.
You know what? It's a more elaborate version of Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh,
That's kind of what the
actually,
story
yeah, the
is.
opening scene is
that
her
fascinating?
about to be wed, and she runs right down past the altar, out the door.
I'm telling you, it's an elaborate Spaceballs.
Wow, I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
You have
Well,
ruined the magic for me
Yeah.
completely.
There is no
Card
magic.
Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about it, looks a lot like
Oh,
the
damn.
audience.
There's
Hail
a card.
President Scrooge.
Yeah. So in this movie, basically, you get all the drama of the long con going on, and you also have the Kingsglaive, which is in the title of the movie, so we should talk about it. The Kingsglaive are the king's selected members of his protection unit, basically the soldiers of the kingdom. They're imbued with the king's magical powers that are granted to him from a magical ring bestowed upon him by the ancients that only pick one special dude every so many years that's worthy. The whole plotline of this damn ring.
Yeah, it's it's the one ring to rule them all.
Basically.
Like, really.
The one
yeah.
ring is only worthy for some people.
Well, it's just like the one crystal thing. I mean, it goes to the whole like lore of like we have a lineage, you know, like we have kings. The king is special, and the blood is the thing that carries all the blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So basically,
It's
if
very
you are
regal.
worthy of the ring, you are all powerful magic user. And everyone in Lucius it's about magic. It's based on magic, and then Niflheim is all technology.
Yeah.
It's technology
Magic
versus
tech,
magic.
specifically.
Magic tech.
Magic ticks, but like very impressive magic tick.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the trailer right now. Also, y'all can see this on screen. It's great. There's modern day suits mixed with crazy, gauntlets and kings and big thrones, and then like cars, then like Audis. Audis,
And
like
Audis.
Audis.
Audis and Uniqlos. So the thing that this
Uniqlos.
place has definitely
That's
in the
good,
future.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the
And
city,
American Express.
the city that they're in right now, that the setting is mainly taking place in, is called the city of Insomnia.
Right.
And so
The
Insomnia
capital
is like the
of
main
Lucius.
capital
Yeah.
of Lucius.
Wait a second, the city that never sleeps?
That's
Is
right.
That is the most distracting name for a city, by the way.
Also, but
The
to be
plot
fair,
thickens.
because everything is so edgy, it makes perfect sense that it's named Insomnia.
Yeah.
And also, no one seems to wear other colors except for that princess, because there's no other
Yeah,
colors.
gray
in-
and then
in-
white as a driven snow, as
Yeah.
we call it.
Which, if you've ever stepped into a Uniqlo recently, which you'll see in the film, it's pretty much all gray.
Oh, that's perfect. It's probably it's the part of
Kingsglaive.
the marketing of this, yeah. But you could definitely see that there are Audis and Uniqlos in this world, which
Yeah.
they're for some reason this particular game 15 has just so much marketing in it
Well,
that
why
it's
do we
almost
think-
a little ridiculous.
Think about how much money's been poured into this movie alone.
Sure.
My God.
Yeah.
They're paying off. Ooh, wait, enough. They're paying off Lena Headey, Sean Bean, Aaron
Yeah.
Paul.
Aaron Paul, yeah.
Aaron Paul.
And then like hiring a
People in their
million
prime.
animators to make the scenery, which is gorgeous.
Yeah, that is something to say. This film is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is
It's a-
absolutely stunning.
Yeah. It's great.
Of like some of the CG movies that we've seen in recent, I would have to say it's one of the best. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would say it's like even better than like World of Warcraft, and that was the most recent like
Bum, bum,
3D
bum, bum.
animated heavy thing that I saw recent.
Well,
So.
you just pitted two
out.
different fanboy
I
sectors
know.
against
Well, I
one
think
another. So
This movie was all CG.
There's
though.
blood
It
all
was-
over our
Yeah.
live talk right now.
Warcraft is mixing, live actors with CG, and I think at some parts it looked really weird. And you're like, why does it look so jumpy? But this is all CG, so kind of, they relied on that technology to make it an enthralling experience, if you will.
Final Fantasy has always been very good about making these cinematic, like CG cinematics. Like even from the very beginning, they're always like ahead in terms of like having that beautiful, computer generated characters and fight scenes and worlds, and they've been super good about that. It's really nice to see that them putting in this much money to create a whole movie, kind of like how they did with Avon Children, and we all I love Advent Children.
Well, it's all right.
I appreciated it.
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
Advent
It was
Children
one of
is
those things where it's
wonderful.
just like it visited for dinner, you can eat, and then
Yeah.
I won't invite you back.
But-
Exactly right. Yeah,
That is a
after
rough
two-
assessment. I have watched that movie at least 3 times because sometimes I just
That's
have
way more
like,
than
I want
one.
to see a
Once by
typified
choice,
scene.
once by accident, and the other time because it just happened to be on.
Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I watch I watch every time because I enjoyed it.
No, I love that every time was only 3. And it's the type of film where it's like, when you love something, like a movie, you watch it all the time. I mean, I've watched Fight Club hundreds of times. Like,
Sure.
it's my favorite movie. But you're like, that movie's great. I've seen it
That's
3
3 times.
3 times is a lot of times for me, okay? There's so much media that you're saturated with. I'm not going to make excuses for it.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest story, but it's a beautiful movie. I think everyone can agree with that.
Well, Max, tell us more specifically. What gets your Final Fantasy going with this movie?
Yeah, so my segment is called "What Gets My Final Fantasy Going,"
It's a lovely name.
and it's basically just like if you like what makes this, and this is an open discussion, by the way, what makes this Final Fantasy? You know, like what Final Fantasy is such a distinct style that created this world and this fan base that like every single game you can like pick out these things that are referential. Like for instance, the
And they're not just tropes, because they have those too.
yeah, they have very distinct style, which has
Yeah.
always been a mixture of magic and technology.
Yeah.
That has been a I don't know, trope or a kind of theme that they always have in each and every game consistently. And this is no exception. This is a little bit more
Technology than magic.
more technology. This is more like along the lines of 7 and 8, where it was a little bit more modern. You know, you kind of saw that it was like it's an alternate modern, or I guess an alternate future time based on our reality. And this is even a little bit stepping back from that and being like, this is basically more like modern time, except that there's all these things around them that is sort of magical, you know. But we still have oddies, and we still have.
Well, I think that's what they were
camping.
going for. Like from the inception of Final Fantasy 15, when I was meeting with Tabata-san, like the big thing was they want a fantasy based in our reality. So it's like, what would that look like, and how would those elements ultimately impact us? So the introduction of the crystals, the magic wielding amongst all the folks that you see, the outfits that you see is just like, okay, it's a blend of a nice suit that you could find at Armani or something,
And Goth Lord.
and then Goth
2016.
Yeah, exactly.
A little, and Phil agrees because Final Fantasy loves Phil
They
agrees.
loved him for a
Right.
Rouge.
But they had all these things that were all meshed together in this one world, and that's very much Final Fantasy. And then also just the overall, just an expansive world that you don't know what's around every corner. Is it going to be a positive person that you're meeting with? Is it going to be a person who's going to try to undermine you or take you around? All of those types of things are very much existing in this film, and from the start I was just like, okay, yes, I am in a Final Fantasy film.
Yeah,
Well-
and it really did feel that way right off the bat.
with the
On
war.
purpose.
Yes, and
By
actually,
design.
the way I kind of see like Final Fantasy's been going, I compare it kind of to Avatar: The Last Airbender, where like as opposed to like when it moved into Korra and the way technology moved as well. Where Final Fantasy, I feel like the technology gets better and better, and it evolves as each new Final Fantasy comes out, and it's really kind of cool because I feel like it's all evolving, and that's actually a really cool thing if you sort of look back from the beginning to now.
I felt-
And to say that there's 15 games now, right? And there's some similarities to certain games, but like for the most part, every single game has always had its distinct style. Which, if you think about it, creating a new world each and every time with little handpicked things here and there, but to like create these very different styles visually every time, and even just premises and worlds, like how much work would that take to develop? You know
Enough
what
to
I mean?
have to keep postponing your game.
Exactly.
Yeah, and make 15 of
For
them.
many years.
I
It's a
feel
lot.
that, as John mentioned before, they're trying really hard to keep this game based in reality. You really see that with, Insomnia. God damn that name. Insomnia looks like Tokyo, but with like a giant cast limit of it. They have, if you looked at the trailers for the games, they have, Noctis and his buddies are driving through basically Arizona, and they've done a lot of research looking at Route 66.
Six.
Is that the right number? Oh my god, I'm
Six.
so like,
Yeah.
I'm a fake American, sorry guys. So it looks exactly like you see the diner scenes, you see the mountains, you see, like they're basically like Roadrunner-esque.
And the only
scenes.
difference is you see these rhinos and the brontosaurus
Sure.
in the background
And
made
they
of
add-
knives.
they add-
Well,
the
I see
magical
that all the time.
elements.
You go through Cabazon, you see the dinosaurs. It's exactly the same. So
I see the big fake ones, but the magical elements they put into all the realism is almost a little jarring for me. I'm such an old school fan. Doesn't make me better. It makes me just old. But I remember Final Fantasy as being almost all fantasy, and like the technology wasn't like outies.
yes.
It was like the
It was
technology
more
was
fantasy.
like magitech and like airships and technology we didn't actually have.
Yeah.
Right.
But was believable in that world. But
That
this
was,
technology is like we have cars and planes and motorcycles. Oh, and then we have airships, but they kind of look like planes.
Planes. They
Yeah.
are planes.
And guns,
or
straight
airships.
up.
Oh yeah, we didn't have
automatic
Straight
rifles.
up.
Yeah, it's like F magic, blam.
Yeah.
Blam.
And cell phones and all those other.
Oh, yeah.
And 7 was like
Yeah.
that. 7 had motorcycles. 7 had cars.
Yep,
8
yeah,
had
that's
you
true.
know, all that, and it's just a matter of like you
It's,
know
like, more
where
real.
where the gauge is, and it's kind of nice to see because it is jarring. I totally understand, but like. To me, because it's so relatable, because it's like these very recognizable parts of my life
Right.
that I'm like. I look at Insomnia, I'm like, oh, I've been to that city. Like I feel like I've seen that city. Like it very much looks like Tokyo. And you know, you look at that and you're like, oh, that's so cool to have all this stuff in that setting.
Yeah.
And that was the primary goals. They wanted to appeal to a Western culture. Like originally, the wheel on the car was on the right-hand side. They moved it to the left. Like they're very much trying to find ways to appeal to
Did
Western
they?
culture. Yeah.
Oh, I
If
didn't
you
even
look,
notice
if you look
that.
at early
That's a
footage
really
of the
nice little
cars,
thing to note. I
you know,
didn't
there's
catch
different
that.
things they kept switching. They're like, ooh, that won't relate to a Westernized audience.
You
so
know,
we
I
need to flip
noticed
that.
That was very
also
clever.
this is kind of about the Western thing, but like, did they change the lip syncing for the Japanese and the English release,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it looked.
so.
I was like, at first I was like, oh man, is this gonna be people like matching like lip flaps? And it's like, I was like, wait, they're saying the English words
Yeah.
like to.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah.
So,
From
that's
what I understand,
Technology is
they did,
amazing.
yeah, they did
Yeah, they
facial
mocap, right?
mapping. Yeah.
yeah.
And so you can just put another
And-
face behind
just
it.
need-
And,
And I
still
want
works.
to want to commend the voice acting in this. I thought there was a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like there's actually I really enjoyed Aaron Paul. I thought Aaron Paul was very enjoyable.
Aaron Paul,
I liked him.
unfortunately, is
We have two
typecasted
opinions.
in my head, so it's very hard for me.
I mean, he wasn't
I
going out
tried-
there and being like, Mr. White, Mr. White,
That's what we
bitch,
kept waiting
you
for.
bitch, Mr. White, bitch. Yeah, but like, no, yeah, I enjoyed Aaron Paul. I thought at times, and this was with all the characters across the board, every once in a while there were moments where it felt like physically the way the line came out didn't match what the character was physically doing.
Yeah.
And it happened a number of times where I went,
I think
okay.
that's just CG though as well.
Exactly. And so I was
And
like,
editing that happens after they record the.
yeah,
the
and I was like, okay, I
flappies.
wish they would have, exactly gone
Yeah.
back and cleaned up a couple lines. But overall, I was like, hey, this is good. I thought Sean Bean was wonderful.
Sean Bean.
Loved-
Oh,
Yeah.
Sean Bean.
Sean
He
Bean
sold
was the
that damn
standout.
Sean Bean
character.
can do no wrong.
There
So, real
was
quick-
one though that we take issue with, but it might be a director's choice. I'm gonna throw it over to you, Michelle.
Was Lena Headey. But
Lena,
real quick for
yes.
those who are watching who haven't seen the movie because it's not actually out yet. It's only had a brief theatrical release. Aaron Paul
it's
is
actually
next.
still out. It's still
Oh, it's still out?
now.
Okay, so they've extended it.
So you can actually go to the website and
the
look for
Google
ticket times.
Kingsglaive.
I think it's
I'm sure you can
about
find
this
it.
week, maybe next week. But
Yeah, because
it's
the
definitely
Blu-ray
coming
release
soon.
comes out October 5th, I want to say.
Oh.
But anyway, Aaron Paul was Nyx, who plays a Kingsglaive member. Sean Bean was the king, and then
And he was
Lena Headey was
yeah.
Luna Freya.
Yeah, and she
So-
that was. I'm curious to know if that was a director's choice on the where
19,
they're going with that
20-year-old
character.
Luna Freya is Lena.
Yeah,
I
but I want to
think-
commend KG Tang and Kyle Hebert, a couple of voice actor friends of mine. They were sprinkled throughout this thing,
Oh,
so
yeah?
that was awesome. Yeah,
Ooh.
glad to hear that. I think some others
KG,
too.
he was
but-
on our show before.
Yeah, and Kyle joined us one time too.
Kyle. Yeah, I know a lot of people who were working on the game. It's kind of crazy. Like there's so many people involved that, and we're at that age where of course there's professionals that we know that are like, yeah, good job
Yeah.
guys. But the voice acting I felt was pretty good. Sean Bean was like my favorite.
Sean Bean was on
Aaron
point.
Paul, I
Sean Bean was
actually haven't
amazing.
seen Breaking Bad, so I didn't have any of that memory of him. I know he was in BoJack Horseman. He's the roommate.
Yeah, he's
But he,
oh, God,
but he
what is
talks
it?
like
Yeah.
this, the whole like real whiny the whole time. But Lena Headey was her voice and the way that character looks was not a great casting in my
No.
opinion. I love Lena Headey. She's got a way about her that's very strong, but that strength and it's just she has like a ruskiness. Is that a word? Raspiness is that a word?
Raspy.
Raspy.
yeah.
A little bit more.
That's right,
It's a
guys. I'm a
little
professional
dirty.
writer and I don't know words.
I mean, to me,
It was a little rough for me. But I know why they did that. I know why.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Luna Freya is this, as I mentioned, pure as the driven goddamn snow, symbol of peace, unity.
is that a trope?
for-
Is that why you keep saying it that way? It seems
purely-
like there's
she's wearing white. Her skin is frail and translucent. Her hair is blonde.
just have never
she's the
heard that
only.
saying
she's,
before.
Oh, pure as a driven
But she
snow?
could
Yeah, no,
survive
I know.
anything.
Really?
But this
That's
chick could
definitely a
survive
thing.
anything.
That's a
Is that
thing.
like a Disney
That's
thing?
No, that's a real just a idiom.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's-
I don't
sorry.
know. I didn't know that.
Which
at
then I
all.
start to go down the path of just the name choices, Luna and Noctis. It's just like, ooh,
so
yeah, that's
edgy.
right. Now we're like Moon.
Um,
That's this guy.
I don't know. I actually didn't think that Lena Headey was bad at all. It was just, it's very hard for me because I was just focusing on Aaron Paul and I really wanted it to like click with me. It really, really
You
wanted
didn't
it
enjoy
to.
his
He
work
was
in
still
this?
a badass.
No,
He was awesome.
no, I'm not saying that
Yeah.
it wasn't appropriate. It just still like to look at his character, like the physical character, not the voice that I was expecting.
I guess that's
That's
a
the whole thing.
danger
Yeah.
you run into when you cast super popular actors, like A-listers, into roles. You hear that voice in their past roles. This is a choice that whoever did the casting made. They're like, we just want this A-lister. Hopefully he does a good job. And I think, like
He
I
did
said,
a good
because
job. No
and
one
I
said
think he
he
did
did a
because
great
I
job.
hadn't seen it. I think that's just like a personal, like you probably
Yeah,
love Breaking
yeah.
Bad, right? And you like know it off by heart or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So.
But have you watched Breaking Bad?
No,
at
that's
all?
why I don't have
Oh,
any of
okay.
his
See?
backgrounds.
Yeah,
Alright,
bitch.
so maybe
Some
it's just
wine.
kind of.
It's just Max.
I think it's because I know what he looks like, and that's always hard.
Yeah.
And Sean Bean, like, he doesn't look like Regis, but like you could still see him, like if you had the long hair and just maybe give him a little bit of facial hair, you'd be like, yeah, that's Regis. That's Regis. And Lena Headey, I mean, yeah, maybe older, but you still got the whole thing going. And so there's like certain, because I know what they look like. It must be something that's like clicking in my head. And so when I saw Aaron Paul's character, I just didn't. It never really.
You couldn't switch.
It couldn't.
you
Yeah.
couldn't
And
stop
when I
saying
saw
Aaron
Nyx,
Paul.
I saw Nyx, and then it just kind of like, and the voice didn't kind of really. It just seemed like he had a deeper voice and was maybe a little bit more ethnic than just white.
So
I like that.
yeah, he's so. First of all, let's get into the story a little bit.
Yeah.
So Nyx is supposed to be one of the Kingsglaive. The thing about the Kingsglaive, it's mostly made up of immigrants from other from other towns that have been conquered, but by
Niflheim.
Niflheim. I just want to throw this out there as a 10-year-old. Like, every time I heard Niflheim, the first time I heard Niflheim, and I couldn't unhear it.
I was right there with you. In fact, I was thinking it was something out of a Nickelodeon TV show, like Circa Ren and Stimpy. It's like, oh, Niflheim.
Niflheim gets my.
Yeah.
Niflheim is like the fancy words that you put in your fan fiction. So to me, I'm like, yes, Niflheim, I get you.
Niflheim. So
Niflheim.
just you can forever never unhear that.
You may would
We're
agree with
children.
me.
So yeah, he is supposed to be from a different country, but everyone looks the same. So they didn't do a lot of research into what people from other countries look like, I feel.
I mean, it doesn't. I mean that. Yeah. I
Like
mean,
it-
the
like-
whole immigration issue was definitely like a big thing
If
for some reason.
it wasn't the fact that they mentioned it like 20 times, like they made it a whole thing where someone's being kind of racist to him, like, oh, you're part of this lower class, like, why don't think you
Yeah,
belong
yeah.
here? Like that's like in one of the opening scenes, and then like they never really get back to what country exactly he's from or how many immigrants are there or why all the immigrants look like they're white, and I'm just throwing it out there, guys.
Well, wait
and-
a second. Now I'm there to think about this. I feel it's pretty
It was a plot
reminiscent
point.
of like Trump. He built a wall. He put the immigrants he wanted inside.
Oh no.
And then you want to kick him out. Oh,
Now you can only think of Regis
no,
as
Sean
Trump.
Bean.
Yeah.
Come on, that's Sean
That was
Bean you're
sick.
talking about
No,
here.
but that was something I saw throughout the entire film. It was very Caucasian heavy, and once again, I think it's to
Yeah.
appeal to the Westernized audience. That was one of their primary goals with this. Is just like they're like, how do we make Final Fantasy appeal to the U.S. market again? How do we make it
But the
appeal?
U.S. is only full of white people.
Yeah. But to be fair, I mean,
know.
most of their characters have always been sort of like
That's
these
true.
ambiguously
But that doesn't
like
mean we
European-looking
can't
people.
point it out.
So.
And I don't think that doesn't mean we can't point it out or that we feel bad for noticing or that our opinion isn't valid.
Oh, no,
I
no,
think
no.
we should just say it, and
Yeah.
that's the truth that exists. And it'd be cool, especially as someone who's a person of color. It'd be cool if I was represented sometimes, but fight my battle somewhere
Yeah,
else.
no, you know what though? In the Story of Your Life movie, they're casting Scarlett Johansson. So I'm
Oh my
sorry.
God!
That's
Thank
good.
you.
Awesome.
Stand down.
And I heard
love
Matt
it.
Damon's
I have
playing
so many words
father.
talking
I think
over.
it's-
Oh, that's that makes sense.
I've always imagined it
Yeah.
to be my father too. So
You know, it
I'm
is
glad.
interesting though that for this movie, which in America, there's this. I mean, racism and race is such like it's such a heavy subject that's always talked about. I mean, so much more than everywhere else. There's this huge thing is race here, and so it's interesting that in this movie that was supposed to appeal to a Western civilization,
They're like,
race was also a very big thing. So this is another thing that actually
Yeah.
ties in. That's actually very interesting.
Which is a bit strange because I feel like whenever like Americans are portrayed now, like I feel like that is a huge issue. Like I don't know what it is, just like the media in recent that I've been seeing because of Donald Trump and it being about like immigrants and like what America stands for, and like I feel like it's very much like globally. Like a lot of people are kind of like picking up on it. I don't know how long this movie has been developed, but
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I can kind of see where all that is coming from because you just think about America and you're like, oh, mixing pot. And
And not to say the West is just America, but I'm sorry Japan did this, not us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Actually, well, but with the assistance of Hollywood writers, if you look on the Wikipedia, which is definitely true, they had a main screenwriter, and they hired some studio that has a really amazing name, something like Gravlex Studios. It's not it, but
Gravlex. Praise the Gravlex.
I wonder if they're hiring. I'd like that.
Well, I will say something then, if we're going to talk about their story. One thing about this movie that I didn't like, which I did enjoy the film, I very much enjoyed it, was the story was very obvious and very linear. There was nothing to catch you really off guard. What you see is what you get. No real surprises. You know that Niflheim is, doing a fake peace treaty, and it's all evil. Everyone kind of suspects it along the way. It's just that was one thing about this is I didn't find a whole lot of creativity in the storytelling. However, I did find a lot of creativity in the world itself.
Yeah.
So that's like throwing a dagger and then being able to teleport,
which is something like Dragoons do. And so if you think about it, they're also kind of dressed like Dragoons if you are familiar with the series. Yeah. So basically all the Kingsglaive are Dragoons, but they use daggers. So, that was a really good touch.
So style and creativity was all in the world itself, but in the story it was very much lacking.
Yeah. I feel that the story, a lot of the reviews online, including my own that I wrote at geek.com, are talking about how convoluted the storyline is. It's a little convoluted. The thing is, if you played Final Fantasy games before, you kind of know where it's going, like you mentioned.
Right.
So it's convoluted in the way that they're like, this war has been raging for years. Let me have a monologue about it in the first 5 minutes of this movie. That's way too long. Lena Headley's like, here's all the stuff that happens, and you're like, what, I didn't catch any of that. Is it important? Oh god, I hope I don't need to remember any of that for later. Like, is there gonna be a test? And then it jumps right into this really great battle scene. Story, I don't know. Do you guys feel like it's that convoluted?
I don't think it's convoluted at all. That's the whole
Final
thing.
Fantasy.
I think people want a lot of things, and the reason that they're like, this is convoluted is because there's a lot of things that aren't explained. But I feel like the premise is that these two kingdoms are at war. They're trying to sign a treaty. Treachery happens, and so it doesn't happen.
Yeah, linear. And it's all linear.
It's not convoluted at all. If anything, it's too simple.
Yes.
Right.
You know?
Completely agree.
But I think people are always searching for the characters that are highly developed. They want the backstories. They want all these types of factors.
Sure.
But if you look at every Final Fantasy game, as we were talking about just a bit right before this, you don't know half the characters you interact with. You don't know where they're from. You don't really care. Your goal is to get from, okay, I have to defeat this evil guy over here, so how do I get across the kingdom to fight him?
Yeah.
And that's very much this film.
And also, it's to say that, like, how, were they really not that heavily developed? Sure, but they weren't not developed. So it's like you knew that Nyx and everyone's the Kingsglaive, they were like these
the main
immigrants.
characters.
They came from all the outside countries that were conquered, and so there was a little animosity because they felt like, their king was abandoning all of the other territories so that only their kingdom, his specific kingdom, could have peace. That was a very understandable thing.
Yeah.
Of course, then there will be rebellion, and of course, other people will be very upset, and that's why all this, and that was all manipulated by Niflheim. Like, I don't really understand what other people need.
I can explain it as I am a fan of Final Fantasy, and if you are a fan, you already know kind of what's going to happen, and you can watch this movie. You can push away a lot of questions because you're like, oh sweet, they're just using magic because they're probably mages. Oh, they can transport because there's magic here. At the beginning of the movie, if you don't know anything about Final Fantasy or like kind of how magic works, you come into this movie and you're like, why is there a giant monster? Wait, why do they all have airships? Why aren't they planes? Wait, why is this like you kind of you have questions about these really fantastic things in this movie, which are beautiful. Like there's this giant monster they summon.
It's like a Bahamut kind of.
Yeah, and if you are
terrifying.
somebody who's never seen Final Fantasy, you're like, that's amazing. I hope they come back to that or explain it. Nope, not at all. Oh,
Okay,
that's a hole for them. That's a hole for them.
But let's put it in a different perspective. Lord of the Rings, right? Like, it has all those fantasy elements. They don't necessarily explain every single part of it. You know that orcs come from Sauron, and they are kind of bred from, the ground. But that's about as much as
they never
you
even
know.
really get into. They just kind of give you one scene in, like, the second movie.
Yeah, and so the question is, what makes that more understandable? Probably because there's 3 movies and there's.
But also,
like,
it's
books and
storytelling.
materials.
It's the way they tell the story. It's how they show it without saying so much. Like they summon the monster, but we don't like. You kind of get, for example, like who's summoning it? Where's it coming from? They don't summon it, and then you see like lasers come out of their eyes, and then it comes out. You just see it come up. There's a lot of little stuff like that where you don't see a direct cause and effect. And
But then eventually you do, though. Like, as you go through the film, like, we don't want to spoil anything, but eventually you do see a summon occur.
Yes.
Right.
And you see why it
But
occurs.
it's way later.
Way later.
Very end, actually.
And actually, just going back, that weapon, that demon, the thing that they call demon, is actually Diamond Weapon. It's designed around Diamond Weapon from Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, you're right. Oh my god, I just realized that.
Because it has huge pauldrons. The color is different. but it has the huge pauldrons. It has a little tiny head, and it has the arms and everything. Yeah.
And there was another enemy too. The one that tentacles.
The Marlboro.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a Marlboro's in there.
All of them.
Yeah. Cerberus is in there. They also have I want to say that those like the things that the giant statues that they summon are summons, obviously.
pretty cool.
I want to say that they're Knights of the Round. I think they're
really
kind of referring to Knights of the Round a little bit.
Absolutely.
And they're definitely knights.
But one of them, it's like
half.
one of them might be Yojimbo, but I'm not 100%
Oh
sure.
shit, guys.
But so
Cool.
there's like a lot of like
Nice references.
Yeah, and the whole thing is it's like they didn't have enough time to explain all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's because they also rely on the fact that this game is going to come out. And this isn't a spoiler. This is something that I found in the Wikipedia. And this is one of the questions that I had before. So when Luna is like, I'm just going to accept my destiny. This is my destiny. And
this
she
bitch.
keeps saying that over and over again. You're like, what do you know? How do you know that it's your destiny? It's because she's an oracle.
They never mentioned that.
They never
I
mentioned
didn't
that.
catch that.
They never mentioned that in the
I didn't
movie.
catch
That
That
is
would
not
have
even
really
touched on.
cleared
Yeah.
some shit.
Not even a single thing.
I didn't
However,
catch that
in
at
the
all.
synopsis
No.
of the game, they find you say in the game she is quote an oracle.
Let's talk about Luna Freya for like 3 seconds.
Okay.
The character, not the voice actress.
Yeah.
God damn it, Luna Freya. This bitch. So now that I know that she's an oracle and she knows her destiny,
Yeah, she knows what's gonna happen.
she is the symbol of peace. Like she is this innocent, like loyal as fuck person who is like, even though Regis betrayed her and her brother when she was young, she forgives him basically.
They ran away because they were in danger.
Yeah.
to be fair.
And someone, when I was watching this movie with my friends, they were like, is this like a Game of Thrones thing? Is she the mother of dragons? Because her brother is totally nutso and tries to gain power and then dies.
Her brother
is
in
very
this
Game of
is like
Thrones.
completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
All
They learned
You
it
gotta
like
ha- you
halfway
gotta have
through
a
the
white
film.
haired
They're like, yeah, okay, he can probably leave now.
Yeah, and you know what? It doesn't matter if we spoil that for you. He dies because, and you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't change
No.
a damn thing
I
about
wasn't
the
sure that he
story.
was dead. I was like, is that gonna come
So
back
you'll
to us
see the
later?
little boy at the beginning. He's gonna die. It doesn't
Whoa.
matter.
You
Whoa.
might think it's a scene from Indiana Jones, I will say.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
much.
It's like he's
Don't
just
put on
there.
the ring!
He's just there to test out the magic power. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what happens when you like
Yeah.
mess with the magic thing.
It's totally
Don't
magic.
fuck with it.
Damn
Oh,
it.
there he goes. He messed with it.
Oh.
And now he's a puddle.
But when a good guy does it later, he's gonna be
Well,
fine.
cool thing about Nyx, it's later, like, because I kept thinking, oh, you know, she's gonna put on the ring. It's gonna be,
Yeah, I
she's
thought it was gonna be her.
she's
I
and
did.
I love that Nyx. She was like, when that moment came where like this ring of power, that because the power is gonna be passed on to the next person who wears the ring if you're worthy, and everyone's putting it on and getting torched and burned to death because they're
Yeah.
not worthy. You're not worthy. You've chosen unwisely. So you think it's about to go into her, and literally Nyx is like, hey. F you, bitch. I'm the hero, ring on. And then goes to the gods of the other side, and they're like, we're the gods. And he's like, you guys suck.
Yeah.
Like, that was his
It's
opening
basically-
line.
they're all
His
like,
whole thing
"Wait."
was just basically like the big middle finger to all of y'all. And
Yes.
they're like, this guy's cool.
Yeah.
You're
The
worthy
gods
of
were
our
like, oh,
power."
we like your
Kind of.
gumption.
Once again, I think it's a relation to Breaking Bad. He just wanted the blue crystal.
He wanted
Oh.
the
He wanted that blue
crystal,
crystal, so he
yeah.
took it over.
There it is.
Um,
Oh, and also there's one more cameo in this. I mean, we've got a lot of interesting cameos. General Grievous is in this one.
What?
General Grievous.
That's true.
He's
That's
General
like a wake up.
effing Grievous.
Yeah.
Is what's his name? The captain who's ends up killing. Oh my
It
God.
starts with
main
a
guy?
G.
Yeah,
the
Growl,
bad.
yeah, I can't.
Bravo.
What is the name?
Is that a
Grouch.
Grouch.
We're called
Basically,
Grouch.
yeah. Basically, the
General
the
Growlich.
He's not the main antagonist, but he is kind of the main antagonist
He
in
is.
terms of like fighting and war. He's not the king of Nephilim, but he's like the right next person in line. You know, he's the warrior, and he's basically a faster, cooler version of General Grievous.
That's
Oh.
He is,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Complete with George Lucas
He's
cough.
he's
Yeah.
basically just the Gundam. Like
He's
you
a-
look at
yeah.
him, he's just like human
Yeah.
Gundam. You're
And
like, okay.
I love that this movie. So that guy, I didn't never even knew his name because first of all, I couldn't understand anything when he talked. He had this crazy like Darth Vader situation happening. He was like Darth Vader.
Like, is
before
there something
he fell.
in your throat?
But then I
It's the
like,
helmet. It was hard to talk in. Okay.
Exactly.
as somebody, I mean, as people who know that there's a game coming out that's either happening in conjunction with this or after this movie happens, we're kind of like, so are we gonna see all these characters in the game too or not? And at the very end of the movie, they're like, nah, Doug,
Nah.
just this one.
I mean,
It's really funny.
you kind of
actually.
see the characters a little bit at the end. Did you not watch the end?
Yeah, did you see the post-credit spoiler?
Well, no,
Oh, I
I
didn't
meant
see the post.
it's not a spoiler.
yeah.
It's not. It's
It's
just
not
it's
really
just
spoiler.
some bros.
Little thing.
So there's if you watch the movie, there's post credits. I just kind of meant like you get introduced to like all these Kingsglaive men, and like you ain't gonna see any of those. In the
Oh
game.
no, they're dead.
they're
They
not
dead.
happening. I'm so sorry
Or
for watching
so
this
we
review and
think.
you didn't want spoilers, but you know.
Yeah.
how
Oh
it
no,
goes.
they're not. I mean, they're not all dead.
Wow.
I mean, who
Wow.
knows?
They might be
Maybe they
alive.
are all dead.
Question mark.
Here's the thing: if you don't see the body, you don't know if they're dead or not.
I mean, you just don't know what the possibility is
Yeah.
in the game. Like they planned this out. They planned out the series, they planned out the movies. So I mean, clearly they knew what the characters were going to be, regardless of what the conclusion of the movie is. That doesn't mean that you're never going to have those characters revisited in the game.
But
So
they're
you think
pretty
about that.
dead. Some of them are pretty dead.
Some of them are
pretty-
dead.
Some of them are like
dead,
hard, like a hard dead.
Yeah.
Like
Sean
a
Bean.
So-
dead with a hard R.
With a hard R.
Dirt.
So, you guys, can you give me a favorite scene of yours, whether it be from the action sequences, a character monologue, or the world scenery? Like, what's a favorite ding dong of you guys?
There's a lot.
I'm gonna do the easy one.
Do it.
That final fight scene is
last one.
just.
ridiculous.
So wait,
Yeah.
starting
Amazing.
from which part? Because the final battle goes for a long
Well,
time.
when when
Starts
he
with an
like
octopus.
when he gets the power, when he gets the powers
Okay.
again, and then the big grand battle happens, and it's amazing. It's amazingly choreographed. It's a little hard to see, I think,
Yes.
at
Yes.
times.
It's a lot.
But for the most part, they did a really good job of like being able to mix like these fighting of these giant things, and then this smaller inner battle, and
Yes.
then them
Yeah.
fighting
Yeah,
like
that was
on
cool.
top of all. It's one of the most epic fight scenes I've ever seen. Like hands down, like
Yeah.
it's so insane, and it's totally a Final Fantasy thing to do. And I, like they love their roots, and I'm glad they kicked it up to 11.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
man.
really did.
It
Yeah.
felt like
Yeah.
any like tokusatsu just like straight on like giant beast battles versus many battles happening simultaneously. It was very hard for me to watch that scene in particular. I really enjoyed the airship scene where you see was it Malboros?
Yeah,
Marlboro.
And it was just like that thing terrified me. I'm just like, okay, yes,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
He became a lot more octopusy. Usually he's just like this little blob with
Oh, no,
tentacles.
it
So,
was
like
just-
they conceptualized the hell out
But
of
why
it.
was there a giant octopus on an airship?
Because
well,
it was a trap.
It felt very
but how
similar
do you
to
get it? It's an ocean animal.
the news, The Force Awakens. It was the same type of thing. It's like perhaps they just brought him on board as like a transportation, and it broke loose.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
never a good idea
yeah.
to transport giant beasts by air.
I mean, to be fair, those transport ships were like supposed to be warships. So even if it was a trap or it wasn't a trap, like either way.
Stop transporting tentacle creatures.
I know.
But
Keep them
maybe
in the ocean.
Maybe that's very much Final Fantasy. And when you think of walking through the airships, all these different things, enemies just appear out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did they get there?
Hey, in Final Fantasy VIII, you're on an airship on the moon, and
Yeah.
you
Oh my
fight
God.
aliens throughout this whole ship. So you're kind of like, yeah, I get it.
It makes sense. It lines very much with the whole
Yeah.
theme. I also enjoyed the little chocobo appearance. I don't know if you remember.
Wait, I didn't
seeing-
see it. Where was it? I missed
So
it.
it was on the side of a van.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I saw
the
that.
Chocobo
cleaners.
delivery.
Yeah.
Speedy chocobo.
Speedy
But it
Chocobo.
wasn't a goddamn chocobo. It would have been so easy to
was
throw that in
cute.
there,
But it
guys.
was a yellow van.
It was the yellow van, and it wasn't a good van. But anyway.
It was the bad van.
It
that
was
kind
the
of
bad
don't
You
get
van.
know,
into, kids.
rule of thumb: do not get into a van that says Speedy Chocobo on the side.
Or like free Pokemon. Don't get in it.
You know what? That's how I'm gonna get the kids. Speedy chocobo.
An old sticker on the
Just a
side.
Speedy Chocobo over here, guys.
All right, I'll try one completely different because you guys said probably the ones I would have said. But I love at the end how what's the bigger guy, the new hero, the big dude. He has a cool name.
Not Nyx.
The one who joined the
Galatus? Galatus?
No, anyway, he's the
leaning
one.
into that, yeah.
He's the one, who has to take he has to take Lena Headley. She has to take her away now after
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole battle.
in the car, yeah.
So at the very end, and he's got like a bum leg. He's been like his leg blasted.
Oh,
he's, like,
his
in
name is like
crutches.
Victory or something weird. Liberty?
Yeah,
Libertine?
Libertas.
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 That's
So
Ah,
Libertas.
yes.
So Libertas, who sounds like he's like a mouth breather, and he's about like 20 steps away from a heart attack. He has to be the new hero, and he has to take our princess, out of the city. And they get to like this threshold point, and he's like, "All right, let's go." And she's like, "No, I'm going without you." And he's like, "All right."
Okay.
And she like leaves, and this dude who's got a bum ass leg is gonna walk all the way back, and they kind of
Safe
leave
zone.
him on this street, and like. Oh, I Guess I'm gonna get back into
Yeah.
shape.
I want them to cut back to the camera after she walks away and him just be like, well, I guess we could have talked for a while.
Yeah.
I thought, I mean, we got a
Also,
while.
wasn't it like Nix's dying wish that he protect her? And he's like, I will do it for you, bro. And he's like, cool. That wasn't a hard
That
promise.
was, that was a little confusing. Clearly, they had to separate so they never have to use Liberatus ever
In
again.
the, because he can't be in the game.
Unless there's a cameo in the game, because my understanding in this I have to say was very poorly written and poorly shown.
But
it was like,
no.
come on, I've been trying to be really good. It's basically the last thing that Luna says to him is like, I don't think that it would be, I guess, advisable to be with like such a grand hero. So I'm wondering if it's like
That was really weird, by the way.
It was weird.
I think it's more, it's like, it's me, not you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want like an amicable thing, separation.
It's like,
Look,
yeah.
you're a great guy.
I really like.
really
I think
nice
we're like
guy.
good friends.
Yeah, you're like a really good hero.
Put your leg. It's not gonna work.
I actually just assumed because I think it's because like maybe he heads up the rebellion or something. You know?
Oh no, I don't want to see a character again. He's so boring.
Yeah.
Well, I will say
know.
it led to a very funny moment for the end of the film.
It was a little bit of a.
Yeah, and like it was one of those not like laughing with them, you're laughing at them at that moment.
Yeah.
It was very
Wah,
funny.
wah. I guess I'll talk about a non-battle moment because my favorite was the opening battle sequence. Was like on Guardians of Fire, which you can watch on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
It's the first 18 minutes is online, so you can just watch it.
Sure, it's really good.
And it's totally worth it.
Yeah,
Totally
and it's
worth
legal.
it.
It's not like a fake.
If
it's
you like Attack on Titan, it felt very much in
yeah,
that
it's
vein.
beautiful.
Actually, it reminded me very much of Starship Troopers.
Oh, actually,
yeah.
now I'm thinking about
You
it.
think
Yeah.
about it,
You know what?
all these little bugs climbing up a wall, and a bunch of dudes like, fuck
It's
these bugs.
amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Because it's great. I mean, honestly, they open the movie and it's so goddamn slow. And Lena Headey is just, you're like, come on, Final Fantasy. And Lena Headey's giving this monologue, and it is like a full 5.5 minutes. And then all of a sudden it switches to this scene, which is like, everything's on fire, everything's exploding.
Yeah.
We got mages, we got summons, we got some guys transporting
With
with
some
swords.
wolves,
And
you know?
it's like I was so impressed because I didn't know what was gonna happen afterwards. But I was so impressed when the scene started. My mouth was like hanging open. I was like, wow, the whole movie's gonna be
Oh yeah, here it is. You guys can
Like
see it right
there's
there.
like fucking
behemoths in
yeah,
there
yeah,
too.
yeah.
They have
Oh look,
behemoths.
Neil Patrick
wall, there's
Harris
the
is
wall.
looking for the brain
There it
bug.
is.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's
Here we go.
The
one of the
costumes
most-
are great, too.
Okay, so the opening, this is absolutely epic, and then the closing battle is
Yeah.
absolutely epic.
It's a
We're
little
talking-
Assassin's Creedy with the
I
hoods
like
and
it.
stuff.
Yeah, that's
running
what's
and
so
everything,
cool.
yeah.
That's like the Kingsglaive.
Oh yeah, then you got your first
guys are
transport.
very, very like assassin-y, which is really
great.
cool. And in this,
Oh, it's so good. Oh, that's
that's Liberatus, yeah.
Yeah, so he does look like a mouth breather.
Yeah, I'm telling
He's
you,
a little heavier set also.
Yeah, but and they really play. Yes. I just.
And the whole thing is he
Oh,
can't
magic
teleport
is great.
because it makes him like motion sick.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
so that's another thing. The reason they call Nyx the hero
Yeah.
is because he can basically
good at
use
it.
unlimited magic just like
Because
without
he's the
any
chosen one.
effects.
Oh, this girl.
And Crow,
awesome
by the way,
girl.
was just a fucking throwaway.
That was
Yeah.
so
Which is some
sad.
bullshit.
I was so excited to see her be badass because she's the only like female warrior in this whole
Yeah.
goddamn thing. She's the only female warrior on Kingsglaive apparently. Like they mentioned it in the movie.
Oh, I guess.
Dude,
In the movie, they're like, you're
that's-
the only girl who could do this. Like I'm like, oh, because it's the boobs get in the way of doing magic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's,
were.
it's always absorbing, you know. It just,
I wanted to throw
It was
this coffee
crazy
cup,
because
but I
it was
didn't.
like this awesomely cool, powerful
I
character. And guys,
know.
I will say no. I mean,
Something bad
no
happened.
spoilers, but it's a bummer.
it's a bummer.
Yeah,
This whole show has been
but
spoiled.
it's
We already said
definitely
it
cool.
one
You can totally see that, like they just. Like it starts off with this
Yeah.
crazy battle.
So
They bring
good.
in they you don't see this yet, but they bring in a diamond weapon basically, and
Mm-hmm.
they just like blow up everything. And then these guys are like, we're just gonna summon a huge firestorm, a fire tornado, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it starts. And you know, then
Pretty
you're like,
epic.
oh, there's definitely stuff to watch.
Yeah.
I'm
Pretty
gonna
epic.
bring up one more favorite thing, which isn't necessarily a scene, but a character. So the totally evil Chancellor, who's totally evil from Niflheim. We mentioned him earlier.
He is fabulous.
Everyone
totally
called him
Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
I
looks
don't
like
even know
Johnny
what the
Depp.
hell this guy's name is. I don't even care.
Oh,
Did they mention it?
Arden.
Beat Amber Heard.
Is it Arden?
That's what
Arden?
his name is.
Arden, I believe.
Like
With
the
the-
shampoo?
I wrote, yeah, I believe. Let me check here.
Is it
And,
like-
and he's
like-
got like
Yeah, it is. It's Arden.
he's got
Everything
this
in this
crazy thing.
movie
He's
is
got
named after
lovely
shampoos and
scarves
beauty products. So where's
Yeah.
because Nyx is a makeup line that you can
Oh, yeah,
find at
that's
CVS.
true. Yeah.
Oh
And
my
then
god,
there's-
is there a Maybelline?
Yeah, you
Who's
just
the
you
cover
go see her. She's the most powerful summon that you can get. Everyone's hair is fantastic.
Maybe it's Maybelline. That's the totally evil Chancellor is amazing because he has a goddamn cowboy hat. He's like dragging like a dragon wing or something,
Yeah,
like
it's
from
a
his one
dragon
arm.
wing.
Yeah.
He's got like guns in his belt. Look at this guy. This is
so
him
fancy.
explaining
Oh, yeah,
to
look at him.
King
Look at
Regis
look
that
at
he's
him
not
tip
evil.
his hat. He's gonna tip his hat
And then
be
he
like,
has
"Milady."
a northern British or a northern English accent.
Yeah, really
So
cool.
what
Right
the
off the
fuck
bat,
is
I just
happening?
feel like he's slimy. Like I met him on vacation before, and he tried to take my wife. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I've met
And
this
he-
I mean,
guy.
to be fair though, like he doesn't come in pretending to be like a nice dude.
No,
he just basically
he's-
like,
But why
I'm
is-
an asshole, guys. Like it's very clear that I'm an asshole, so I'm just gonna be an asshole to you.
But he's
then
offering
Regis allowed
peace.
it. Like,
Yeah.
like, that's the thing. And it's just like with Luna being the Oracle, it's just like could
Ah,
nobody
the
foresee
worst.
that this guy was bad?
We all fucking
No,
forgot.
I think the whole thing throughout, the good thing about this is like they're not ignorant of this fact. They know that there's something going on. They know that they're not just going to like be like, hey, we're gonna have peace now because
Yeah.
that's how we are. Like we're just gonna let you leave. Like they all know. So that's why this whole game is like they're all both sort of like playing this game of chess. And it just so happens that Regis loses, but obviously for the long game is.
And it just so happens that the Chancellor doesn't dress like anybody else on the Niflheim squad.
No.
No.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Oh wait, before we go, we gotta do our to the lines. Is
Okay,
what Max
ready?
is calling
That's
it.
gonna be a
Science.
thumbs
On the count of
Nice.
3, we do a thumbs up or thumbs down or
Based on
middle.
here we go.
Alright.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, it's a thumbs up!
Like it doesn't. It's kind of convoluted.
All in
But it's
agreement.
very beautiful.
It's very beautiful
It's
and it's very
beautiful.
well paced.
Yeah.
There's always action. You're always kind of on the edge of your seat. So I mean,
It's
that's
not
what you're
without
supposed
its
to do.
flaws. It's got a
Sure.
lot of flaws.
Oh, God.
The story's not going to surprise you. Sometimes you'll be thrown off by a couple characters and things, but overall, totally a thumbs up.
All of the
Yeah.
Final Fantasy films, this one's the best, I think.
Agreed.
Of all the
Agreed.
ones
Oh
that are
god,
currently
yeah,
on
got a
market.
lot. Got Slim Pickens.
They
with it.
have a movie where one of the girls, her power is to shoot chocobos out of her ass. Real thing.
All right, guys.
Look it up.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thank you, Square Enix, for giving us screeners of this movie. The movie itself is in theaters now. Will be out on Blu-ray and online download on Amazon and all that crap on October 5th, I want to say, or 6th. Google it. And we will be back next week. We don't know the movie because Yume is not here. She
Where's
got
Yume?
delayed on a flight on the way back from a very important geek meeting. But yeah, I have been your host today, Chubbybunny Michelle, and you can find me everywhere on the internet at I am Chubbybunny.
And I'm Maxwell Song at all the social medias at Maxwell. That was a little confusing.
We're going to save you for last, so we got to
Oh,
save you for
please.
last.
Yes.
Yeah,
Go for it.
So, John,
Kaiba
number
Cat. I'll
one.
be quick. Kaiba Cat. You can find me on Kaiba Cat.
I'm Jon Brence. You can find me at Kawaii Guy LA on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all the medias.
All right, guys,
Yeah,
thanks
we're
so
gonna
much
save
for.
the best for last.
Thank you for joining us, John, and yeah, other
Absolutely.
John
Thank
too,
you,
I guess.
guys.
And thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
All right.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. Views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.